My name is Danny Lee. I'm the co-founder of AHC, AsiaHospitalityCareers.com. We're the first hospitality career site in Asia. We cover a lot of things like hospitality jobs, career information, industry news, career tips, and so forth. But today we're not talking about AHC. Today's discussion isn't about me telling you how great Asia Hospitality Careers is. Today's topic, if you remember, is a better tomorrow in tourism and hospitality. And this title was actually decided, several months ago. When we were planning out this particular, open house. But I cannot remember, or I cannot think of a more appropriate title than what we have today. In light of what we're going through around the world. I think, a better tomorrow in tourism and hospitality is certainly very appropriate for today's talk. Now, the other element of this discussion that I really wanted to share was also to open the doors to the world of hospitality for people who are either relatively new or their understanding of the industry is relatively, shallow. So, the way I've put up today's talk is I've divided today's discussion into several sections. Now, I liken hospitality to a box of chocolates. I don't know if many of you have seen the movie Forrest Gump. I might have dated myself by saying that movie name, but I liken hospitality to a box of chocolates not because it's, you never know what you're going to get, but there is something for everyone in a box of chocolates. So as part of today's sharing session, I've broken up, the sections into four. Firstly, I want to talk a little bit about some myths in hospitality. I think one of the biggest obstacles that we have as an industry is a lot of people have a lot of misconceptions about our industry. So I want to share some of the most common myths that I've come across in my dealings with students, with graduates, with early job seekers, with people who are not in the industry. Second part that I want to share is I do get the opportunity to meet a lot of different employers across the sector. And these are commonly the top skills that the employers are looking for beyond technical skills. So I want to share some top skills that employers look for when they're looking to hire people. The third part is why I believe hospitality is a smart choice. Some of you are studying hospitalities, some are not. But I want to share why I think hospitality is a great career choice to have.
Change the direction, not just for us, but maybe for humanity.
Last but not least, I want to talk a little bit about industry outlook and career potential, especially when we're talking about a better tomorrow in tourism and hospitality. I think understanding where we are and where we're going will give you a lot more insight into how your career path will be. Okay, so with that, let's get started with number one, the myths in hospitality. So I've compiled, I've done this presentation several times at different schools, at different conferences and so forth. And this is a compilation of the most common myths that I've come across when I've spoken to students, graduates, job seekers, parents of job seekers. And they have a lot of misconceptions, and I want to share the top 5, and I want to break them up and debunk it. The first one, and which is, I guess, the most appropriate for a lot of people, bad pay. There's actually a common misunderstanding that in the hospitality industry, the pay that you get is poor relative to other industries. Now, let's break that down. Let's look at it purely from a money point of view, right? So if we're talking about salaries, so what we've done is, over the last couple of years at AHC, what we've done is we've carried out a hospitality salary survey and published our annual hospitality salary guide. for both Singapore and Hong Kong. And we found some very interesting points. So on the same levels of experience, salaries offered, sorry, let me just hide my screen here so that I can see. My apologies. So salaries offered in the hospitality industry are on par with those in accounting and finance. Now, accounting and finance are very well-known industries to pay relatively well. And if we're comparing similar levels of experience, so these numbers are generated for people who are between 0 to 3 years experience. So early, people who are just entering the workforce, up to 3 years experience. So comparatively, in a hotel front office environment, you're looking at between, this is all in Singapore dollars, $1,800 to $2,300. In F&B front of house, you're looking at $1,600 to $2,200. Sales and marketing, $1,600, $3,500. Events coordinator, $1,008 to $2,002. And then, for instance, tour coordinator, $2,000 to $3,000. Now, you see the range because obviously different companies, larger hotels, larger tour group operators, and larger organizations will pay a little bit more, smaller will pay a little bit less. But that is the range typically between 0 to 3 years, and they're very competitive. So that's just money alone. But there's something else that the hospitality industry is renowned for. Benefits, right? Now, these do not appear in any other industry in such a way, right? So on top of the salary, typically in the hospitality industry, there are a lot of benefits to be had as an employee, right? So, they include meal and travel allowances, right? Discounted rates. So if you work for a hotel, you get discounted rates or free rooms, for different stays across the group. If you work at an airline, you get discounted airfares. You work at F&B, you get dining discounts or free dining. Performance bonus, medical, laundry service. A lot of the different people in the hospitality industry wear uniforms. So laundry service is typically free. When you add all this together, and every one of these things is convertible into a financial dollar, right? You add that up, your total package, your total compensation package is actually more than a lot of other industries. So this is something that, a lot of people have a common myth, thinking that, oh, it's just bad pay, there's nothing great about it. But if you add everything together, it all adds up to a much more competitive package. So moving along. Number 2, myth. There's no work-life balance. I get that a lot. A lot of people say to me, oh, I heard about the hospitality industry. There's the dreaded S word, shifts, right? I hate shifts. There's no work-life balance. I have to work at night, I have to so forth, so forth, so forth. But actually, that's totally contrary to the real truth. The reality is, the industry is actually extremely flexible. Right? Maybe not to that image, but it's flexible. Hospitality, if we remember, is a 24/7, 365-day industry. We're open all the time. So shifts were created to allow flexibility on work hours, or on the days you work and the days you don't. Right? So typically, what that means is, if you work long hours, you have a shorter week, or if you work a shorter week, you have vice versa. And that's the flexibility of shifts, and that's the flexibility of the hospitality industry. So you can actually balance out your work life. Second point, the industry allows you to decide how you want to work in this industry. Right? So there's different employment options: full-time, part-time, contract, by project. You're not tied into a particular employment option. You find the ones that's most suitable for you. No other industry provides that kind of flexibility. The last point on work-life balance. You can decide what you work on in this industry, right? Now, why do I say that? In the hospitality industry, we're dealing with something different every day. You deal with different customers, different situations, different requirements, different demands. So you actually have a lot of autonomy to prioritize what you work on. You deal with the things that are the most important, and then you can actually deal with things that are, less priority, right? So what that means is, if we're not like a typical industry where everything is a template, right? Oh, at 8 to 9, you have to do this, 9 to 10, you have to do this, and so forth. Everything, every day is a little bit different. It's extremely dynamic, right? By allowing you to choose what you work on first and dealing with those things first, you actually learn to better manage your task and your time. So that's number 2. Number 3, and this is actually, a lot of people talk about number 3 these days. Robots will take all the jobs. I think it's important to understand technology is part of our lives. The fact that, everyone in this room, everyone around you, everyone you love your devices, you love your iPhone, you love your tablets, you love your computers, right? Technology is always and will continue to be an important part of our lives. Now, I like to remind people, technology gives us something that's what we term automation. It allows us to do things more efficiently, right? But it doesn't allow us to replace that function totally, right? Your phone cannot replace what you can do. Your tablet cannot replace what you can do. Technology cannot do all of that. And I think it's very important to understand that, we use automation, whether it's robots or whether it's whatever technology, because we want to improve and speed up certain tasks that are a little less efficient today. Now, the other reason why I think robots can't take all our jobs, robots or artificial intelligence or whatever you want to use or whatever people want to try and phrase, I think robots and technology and AI lack 3 important ingredients. 1, technology, robots, machines lack emotional intelligence. So what do I mean by emotional intelligence? It's the ability to recognize, our own emotions, other people's emotions. It's the ability to recognize feelings, right? No machine can do that today, right? And I don't believe, maybe in my lifetime this will happen. But as of today, we are the only people with the ability to handle emotional intelligence. Second, creativity. Machines are not creative. Machines run their everyday tasks based on a set of rules, based on a set of functions, whether it's programs, whether it's pre-existing requirements. Everything is set, right? There's nothing creative. You take a robot, you take AI out of a particular situation, and it will not be able to creatively resolve it. Lastly, the ability to handle unpredictability. Every day presents something different. No one would have thought that today we'd be where we are today, yesterday, right? So, again, machines, technology, robots is developed based on rules, based on programs which are set by rules, right? Rules are not able to handle unpredictability, right? So, we can be very spontaneous, we can be very flexible when it comes to dealing with something that's new. So this is something that, these 3 things are very important areas that, robots don't have as of now. Maybe one day in the future it might, but as of today, it still doesn't. And that's very important. The other element about technology is this, we need to remember technology is a tool, right? It's a tool to help replace, or to help us with repetitive tasks, to improve efficiency. That way, it allows us to focus on delivering the best guest experience. And that's what hospitality is all about. The human touch can never be replaced when it comes to the business of making people happy. Okay. So number 4 myth. A lot of people think, well, you know, hospitality industry is very limited in terms of opportunities. There's not much, you know, there's not many companies hiring, or there's just not that much, you know, opportunities to be had. First thing, hospitality industry is actually very broad, right? It's made up of a lot of different sectors, right? So, I mean, anything from hotels, F&B, travel and tourism, and so much more. Secondly, hospitality industry is actually very deep, right? Every company is supported by a very large team. If we strip away the brand name, of, for instance, a Marriott Hotel, or we strip away Singapore Airlines, or a very big F&B group like a Marche, behind the brand and behind what they do is a very large organization. And within any large organization, is a team of different people supporting the business. So there's accounting and finance, there's IT, there's HR, there's sales and marketing, and every other department in between, right? So, you know, even for people who are not, you know, undertaking studies or disciplines in hospitality or travel and tourism, there is a connection to the industry at some point. If you work in anything else, there's an opportunity to be had in the hospitality industry. So with that, you know, because there's so many different sectors, there's so many different teams, there's actually bound to be something for everyone, right? There's so many sectors, so many cross-skill roles. You can never be stuck in one job if you choose not to be. All right, my last myth. You know, when I attend all the career fairs and I visit the schools and talk to a lot of people, especially those who are not trained or studying in travel, tourism, or hospitality, I get this a lot. Hospitality is just a fancy word for hotels. If we break down the hospitality industry as an engine and what drives this industry, you're going to find something very interesting. We're talking about hotels and resorts, right? You have a lot of those in Singapore. We're talking about F&B. We're talking about MICE, not necessarily that one. We're talking about MICE in terms of meetings, incentives, conventions, exhibitions. We're talking about travel services, so travel agencies, tour operators. We're talking about the booking sites, the OTAs. We're talking about airlines and airports, theme parks, casinos, cruises, wow, private clubs, co-working space, hospitality suppliers, shopping mall, VIP concierge, hospitality schools. Every one of these form the universe of the hospitality industry. So hospitality is more than just a hotel. And I don't know why that line is there. Okay, so that is the myths that I want to clear up. I'm going to move on to the second part of the chocolate, second chocolate. Sorry, I'm going to see why this is the case here. Eraser. Did I draw this, or did someone draw this? There you go. All right. So, as I said earlier, you know, we get the opportunity to talk to a lot of different employers and understand what they're looking for in terms of people to join their companies. Now, beyond technical skills that you learn for each discipline, whether it's the hotels, whether it's F&B, whether it's airlines and so forth, there are some skills that every employer looks for. And these are my top 5. I don't know why this is not working now. Sorry. All right. So, teamwork. Any company needs to operate as a team, right? And this is more the case in hospitality, right? The ability to work in a team is the key to success, because in any hospitality company that you see, hotels, airlines, F&B, OTAs, casinos, right? No one person can operate the business by themselves. Everything has to come together as a team. Right? No one person can deliver exceptional guest experiences alone. So teamwork is very important. People think, oh, teamwork, this is not, it's a natural thing. It's not. Teamwork is something that everyone needs to develop as a skill. Number 2, problem solving. Yeah. Every customer is different. So every day, every customer presents a new challenge, new questions, new problems. The ability to think on your feet and to problem solve is essential in our business, right? Because a customer will not wait for you to find the solution in your own time. Your ability to problem solve allows you to be actually a much better time manager because you know how to solve problems quickly. So that's the second skill. Third skill, a positive attitude, right? Now, we all go through it. You have good days and you have bad days. Right? Being positive provides the best possible service to everyone, right? If you're grumpy, you've had a bad day, you got wet in the rain, you show up to work and you're still negative, that negative element will transcend all the way through the customer, right? So being positive will always provide the best possible service. And it's, being positive isn't about just dealing with customers. It's also a critical trait for your team, right? Because it makes you a better coworker, it makes you a better teammate, and it helps you build much better relationships overall with everyone. A can-do attitude has a direct effect on how the end result is determined, right? You can choose how the end result is simply because of your attitude. Right, next point. Be a good communicator, right? So probably a little bit better than the dog. That I would recommend, being able to communicate a little bit better than that. Being able to communicate clearly ensures, again, better customer satisfaction, right? Hospitality industry is an industry that makes people happy, right? That is our industry. So being able to communicate clearly or explain things clearly ensures much better customer satisfaction. Right? Now, good communications is not about just talking. It's also about listening, right? Your ability to listen and talk can prevent a lot of problems, right? It minimizes so many misunderstandings, right? And it allows you to be more effective in what you do. Okay, attention to detail. Right. Now, a lot of people think, oh yeah, I'll get this down pat. Attention to detail is easy, but believe it or not, attention to detail takes a lot of practice and to acquire the skill. Right? Not everyone is born with that ability, and not everyone is taught that ability. Right? The little things are the most memorable, and I'm sure every one of you have come across something in your life, in a different situation, a different environment, where it wasn't the biggest thing that made the whole thing memorable. It was the tiniest thing. Our hospitality industry is built on the highest standards from the tiniest details. When you go into a hotel, when you get on a plane, when you visit a tour, an attraction, sometimes it's the smallest details that becomes the most memorable. Right? So being thorough, being detailed, detail ensures consistency and quality. And believe it or not, this is the highest transferable skill across any job. Right? No matter what you choose to do in your career at whatever point in time, attention to detail is the most transferable skill you will have. So that is the second part where I share with you the top 5 skills that employers look for. I want to move forward a little bit and talk about why I believe hospitality is a smart career choice. And I've kind of broken this down into 2 elements. First and foremost, I think let's look at it from a professional standpoint. Why I think from a professional standpoint, hospitality is a smart career choice. Our industry is built on tremendous history and learning. Believe it or not, depending on what kind of history books you read, supposedly the first use of the word hospitality for a company was back in 1788, some Hotel de Henri or something. And the first use of the term hotel was actually in Japan, right, 1,300 years ago. So our industry has been around for a very long time, right? But on the same token, as of now, it's still regarded as the fastest growing industry in the 21st century, right? We have a lot of history, but it's still regarded as the fastest growing. It's constantly evolving to meet changes in demand and environment. So if we look back 10 years ago, the way we used to consume hospitality, travel tourism, you would go to a travel agency and book a ticket, you book your hotels. Today you do that online. Previously there were tours, that were very standard, very cookie cutter. You jump on a bus, you go there, see the city, take some photo and leave. Today, you have your own personalized tour. Right? The industry is changing dramatically. The way we deal with environment, the whole, all the hotels coming forward to look at how we're more green is something that the hotel industry or the hospitality industry has evolved. So from an industry point of view, it's something that's very dynamic, built on history, but it's growing. It's also the most diverse and multicultural industry in the world. Now, when I say diverse and multicultural, first element of that is you come across, in hospitality, you come across people from different cultures, different nationalities, because they're travelers, they're tourists. So you get the chance to meet a lot of people. On the flip side of that, hospitality also presents you with opportunities to work in any other country. Your skills in hospitality is actually highly transferable, whether it's in Singapore, whether it's in Hong Kong, whether it's in China, whether it's in Europe, highly transferable. So it's diverse and multicultural. There's actually a lot of room to grow laterally and vertically, right? Whether you want to stay within one sector, or you want to take that skill and move to a different sector in hospitality, there's opportunities. Vertically, I say vertically because, if you look at, I'm going to use hotels as an example, because a lot of today, a lot of general managers in a lot of hotels in Singapore, they all started in the hotel business in very different positions. I know of a hotel GM who started off as a chef. I also know of one that started off as a bill person. So no matter how you start in this industry, there is room to grow vertically. And this is the last point why I think professionally this is a great industry to be in, or is a great career choice. It's dynamic, it's enjoyable, and it's fun. Right? You're going to have a lot of fun in the hospitality industry. Now, personally, why I think this is a smart career choice. The experience and training you gain in your starting environment actually leads you to a lot of different opportunities. One of the important skills that a lot of hospitality people have is the ability to face clients, client-facing skills. And it's in high demand across all other industries, right? So, every industry in this world has some form of client-facing roles: finance, insurance, property, tech. They love hospitality talent because hospitality people are renowned to be friendly and renowned for their smiles, renowned to be helpful. Other skills that you learn in hospitality: people skills, time management. Your exposure to a large team environment will open a lot of doors, not only to other industries, to other sectors. And hospitality skills transcends cultures and borders. Like I mentioned before, your skills are equally useful regardless of what country it is, regardless of what culture it is. Okay, we're going to come to the last part of the discussion. And I want to share with you a little bit about the industry outlook and the career potential. I kind of already touched on the career potential earlier through the other elements of my chat. But I want to share some numbers with you first. Now, all these numbers were leading up to 2019. And this is all specific to Singapore only, right? There's tons of data out there about the world, different markets, but I wanted to focus on Singapore only because it's your home, your country, and it's most relevant. So year on year, for the last 10 years, the hospitality industry has continued on an upward path. It has grown year on year for the last 10 years. Right? So if we compare numbers, 2018, 17 million people visited Singapore. In the 2019, it was over 19 million people. Now that's more than 3 times the total Singapore population that came into Singapore. So great, so a lot of people came. In 2017, over 170,000 people were employed directly in the hospitality industry. Now that's 4.6% of the total working population of Singapore, right? Direct employment, not counting anything that's indirect. Up to the third quarter of 2018, tourists visiting Singapore spent over $20 billion, added $20.6 billion to the Singapore economy. Hotel room revenues alone was $3 billion, right? Now that's spread across this over just under 300 hotels in Singapore. Now BTMI, what does BTMI stand for? Business travel, meetings, incentives, conventions, exhibitions. The spending for conventions and exhibitions was over $3 billion, $3.4 billion. Singapore, I mean, you have the most, I believe to be one of the most fantastic convention exhibition centers in the world, right? And it's also recognized as the top meeting destination in Asia Pacific, right? Suntec. The important element of the hospitality industry is that it actually drives the economy directly and indirectly. Tourists who come, they spend money directly on hotels, on airplane tickets, on the attractions, on F&B and so forth. But they also spend money on retail, shopping. They add money to the local finance, the economy through the finance system, right? They affect the property market to a certain extent. Right. Now that is 2019. And when I was preparing this presentation, the 2020 was actually something that I had never anticipated the way it has. 2020 has presented all of us with a new challenge. I, for one, can honestly say that in all my life, I've never experienced something such as this that we're all experiencing in 2020. COVID-19 is unprecedented, never seen before. It's a huge challenge to our industry, to the hospitality industry. Right? You'll see the news on it. It's a huge challenge to our country, to the world, to every one of us. And, you know, with the way things are going, it has already changed the way we do business. It has already changed the way everyone does business. And you'll continue to change the way we do business. The fact that, you know, I'm not physically in Singapore attending this open house to share this session with you face to face means it's already changed the way we do things. And honestly, many industries will change dramatically, right? And we've kind of proven that. You know, the retail, do we need that many retail stores anymore if everyone can go online shopping? Right? That's changing. Finance, if everyone's going online shopping, why do we need cash? Everyone will go more cashless. People, you know, people like me, people like my team, a lot of, you know, your friends, your family, they're working from home. So if they're working from home, it changes our need for offices. Do we need offices? Right? That changes properties. So, you know, I have to be honest with you, our industry today is going through a lot of pressure and a lot of pain. You know, different markets are experiencing the pain level differently, but the whole world is going through the same pain. You know, our industry has always been very resilient, but, you know, we are under a lot of pressure as of today. But, you know, one thing that I want to be, I mean, you know, through all the gloom and doom, one thing that I want to, and I'm actually very confident about is, we will be the first industry to rebound. Right? I'm actually very confident of that. You know, the fact is, our industry, the hospitality industry, cannot go online. The core of it, right? We can, you know, we can. A lot of industries can go online. Retail can go online. Finance can go online. You know, a lot of things can go online. The hospitality industry cannot go online. Right? People will always, if it moves, and let me get this, people will always want to travel, want to eat, want to wine and dine, want to experience new things, right? No one wants to do these things virtually. Right? Because, you know, we can't go online because we will always be a business that requires human interaction. Right? Now, I don't have a crystal ball. I can't confidently tell you when this is going to be over or when the rebound will happen. But from now to that moment, I think there's something that I think is very important for all of you to do. The most important thing is you need to be ready. All right? So how do you stay ready in times like these? You need to stay up to date on industry happenings. You need to stay up to date on what's, you know, how things are evolving, right? You can't wait and sit there hoping that, oh, when it rebounds, then I'll deal with it. You need to stay on top of things. You need to pick up new skills in your spare time, right? Take more courses, right? Broaden your knowledge. Anything that's going to help you so that, you know, when the time comes, you are ready. Keep your CV updated, right? It's always good to make sure that you have your CV updated so that, you know, when those opportunities come, right, you're not waiting to do these things then, right? Prepare now. Be very open-minded to opportunities, right? I mean, you know, opportunities don't come and find you. You have to be looking for it. But when they do come up, you need to be open-minded to it. Right? Now, you know, I think every company across hospitality are already planning for when the industry rebounds, not if, when. Okay, so that kind of concludes the main part of my sharing session today. I hope you guys find it useful. I do want to, before we go to Q&A, and I'm very happy to answer any questions you might have, I want to share with you two more things. And I think as of this moment, it's actually very important. I want to remind everyone to take care and stay safe. Things like, wash your hands, wear a mask, stay at home. Right? Do these things and we're all in a better position. We need to fight this together. Right? So everyone, please take care and stay safe. Now, I know, because I look at the news every day and I can understand that, it can be very depressing. But as I was preparing that slide on the COVID challenge that we're all facing today, I'm reminded of a song from a band, quite an old band. I think most of you won't have heard of it. They're called Dire Straits. And this part of the song lyric, I think, actually has a lot more meaning today. Right? So it says, there should be laughter after pain. There should be sunshine after rain. These things have always been the same, so why worry now? Right? Focus on what you can be doing rather than what to worry about. So with that, I'm going to open up to questions, if anyone has it. I'm going to stop share. No. Anyone have questions? No? Okay. I'll wait a little bit more. If you have questions, please, unless there's a chat. Talked about what, okay, I'm going to read this out. I think everyone can read this. You talked about what employees should do during this time. On the other hand, what should companies do now to sustain in light of the current situation? Good question. I think the companies are already trying to do everything they can to survive. I think the word survival is an appropriate word. I think a lot of companies are now, several things. I mean, we're now dealing with companies, a lot of different employers that are looking at retraining their people so that they can be deployed to other functions. They're looking at retaining people rather than retrenching them, right? So unfortunately, some could mean taking a slightly a slight pay cut, right? But it keeps them employed, right? And I think a lot of companies are now thinking forward so that when the industry does rebound, what will they need to do first? And that's the planning. I think there's a lot of planning. I'm not always privy to a lot of the what the companies are doing. What they've shared with me is a lot of retraining, a lot of reorganization of the company, of the business, redeployment of people, so that it keeps everyone still in a job. Does that answer your question, Olivia? Okay. Anyone else? When people working from home now, will people lose productivity after the crisis? Good. Another good question. I think productivity has perhaps decreased a little bit. I mean, again, our industry, a lot of people, unfortunately, unless the business is closed, they can't be working from home. I'll share the example of our organization. At AHC, we started doing work from home, especially on the Hong Kong office. We started work from home as early as straight after the Chinese New Year, because that's when the peak of the incidences were in Hong Kong. Now, one thing that I've always expected from people, and it's really up to the individual. It's all about being professional, and it's also all about being disciplined, right? Now, if you're disciplined and you're professional about what you do, your productivity shouldn't change. If anything, and this is the observation that I have for myself, from several of my colleagues, is when you're working from home, your time doing work actually has increased because you don't know when to stop, right? There is no start or stop time for work. You continue to do things, for better or worse, you continue to do things much longer than you normally do, right? So in some instances, I think productivity has increased, but it actually has changed the way we work, right? I mean, it's allowed us to do, do our work slightly differently. I mean, we're fortunate in that a lot of our work is on the cloud. We're online. We're an online company. So it's afforded us the opportunity to do our work, not physically sitting together. Now, meeting as a team, working as a team has its merits. I think it's important that we work as a team. I certainly crave, the opportunity to sit with my colleagues, sit with my team, to really, share the situation, share the moment, and work together. But I don't think it's decrease or increase productivity. I think it's pretty much equal. It's just the balancing out of time. Did I answer all your question? I haven't answered the second part of your question, have I? Your thoughts on any suggestion increased productivity? I think maintaining a proper log or system of what you need to do each day is important. And that goes back to discipline, right? If you know you have these tasks at hand, right, that you need to complete on that day, that you can't leave because no one's watching, then you're going to suffer. But if you're able to continue to work as you're in the office, even when no one's watching, that's when things stay the same. Anyone else? Any other questions? You're welcome. Any further questions before I wrap up? Okay, so let me wrap up by saying I want to, sorry, right, there you go. I want to thank everyone for joining today. I know that this is something new. I've never done a speaking session quite like this, but I totally enjoyed it. I think it's a great opportunity to try something new, to leverage technology so that it makes the whole situation a little bit easier to do. So I want to thank everyone for joining today. Again, if you need to find any information on the industry, any help on your career, any job seeking tools, or even look at what the jobs are available in the market today, there are still jobs available. Do visit us on AsiaHospitalityCareers.com. We'd love to see you. Right? So with that, thank you very much. I'll stop share.